definitely tune in.
Yeah, that's recording then. Right, lads, welcome to Triggered Reds. Another day, another defeat at Anfield. This time, arch rivals Everton. And 21 years, so it was going to happen sooner or later, wasn't it?
22, weren't it?
22, yeah. So I lost count. It was that it had been going on. 99, yeah. Kevin Campbell. I can still remember that Everton fan in the trackie jumping in the cop when it went in, but yeah, it was going to happen sooner or later, wasn't it? The end of an era, basically.
Yeah, I know today we've probably been building it up now over like 2 or 3 videos. I know we've got Jamie on today, who's a big Everton fan, and obviously he's quite all right as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't have him on. But I must admit, as the goals were going in, what's that?
He's a writer as well for the Times or something.
Yeah.
All Times.
I saw you mentioned that on your last video at the end.
I'd forgot about that, to be honest with you. I thought we were just getting on some no mark, but obviously he's got a bit of clout. But as the goals were going in yesterday, especially when the penalty went in, I thought, fucking hell, as if I've got to wake up tomorrow and do a podcast with the Blue Nose after the 4th home fucking loss on the spin, and then Everton beating us. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. But welcome to Jamie, resident Blue Nose.
Yeah, cheers for having me. It's been a longer waited. I think I was speaking to Steve about like last May about coming on just after lockdown started. So yeah, it's been a long time coming and a good time to come on, obviously, for me.
Well, we were going to do it after Atletico, the Madrid game last year. I think it was like right before the derby, and then they were like, oh shit, Arteta's got coronavirus, and then it just escalated and the league fell apart. So then we were like, couldn't do it, but here we are. But I thought yesterday though, like I said on my preview, if Everton play better than us, then I'm not really that bothered anyway. And that's what happened really. Again, Liverpool, no clear-cut chances. In a sense, the way the Richarlison chance came about, it's a clear shot in on goal, ball in behind. We just don't create them anymore. And if we did, we'd probably put them away. But we're so predictable to play against now. It's easy to set up against. When you got someone like Ancelotti as well, that's like food and drink for him, isn't it? That type of stuff, those tactics. If Sean Dyche can do it, like I'm not saying he's played like Burnley, but I mean, if Sean Dyche can out-mastermind Klopp, then it's Ancelotti's going to have no problem doing it, really.
Yeah, the best team probably won yesterday. I mean, I must admit, I've just read an article there on Sky Sports News, and it said terrific Everton, outshine Liverpool. I mean, terrific's a stretch in my humblest of opinions. I don't think Everton played fantastic, but they were resolute, they were solid defensively. They took the chances when they came. I'm not one to say anything about the VAR decision or anything, but what I will say is the game was done. Whether that penalty went or not, that game was done. Everton were winning 1-0. It was as simple as that. And he deserved it yesterday. I mean, with us, so many cowardly players on the park. No one's got any guile or craft or any intention to do anything that's dynamic. Everything's so one-dimensional. And Jamie, I wanted to ask you, when you're watching like Liverpool come up against Everton now on the run that they're on and the way the players are playing, what players do you think are a threat when you're looking at that team? Other than the obvious with Salah, but when he's standing Digny up or Dean or whatever, we can never say his fucking name. Do you think he's going to do him? Because I don't.
Lucas Dinner.
Well, him and Mane are the ones that you're worried about, but that's more based on their reputation and what they've done in the past rather than how they've been playing in recent months. And I said to Steve messaged me yesterday when it was 1-0 and Salah missed the one-on-one with Pickford.
When Shaqiri put him in?
Yeah, I remember. It's only yesterday, Steve.
He messaged me after that saying this is finishing 1-0. By the way, there's absolutely no way we're scoring, but obviously my blood pressure was through the roof for the entire game, thinking that we were just going to throw it away. Like, I just kept on expecting us to score, but I think if I could have took like all my emotions of the game away, if I wasn't an Everton fan or a Liverpool fan and watching it, I probably would have thought Liverpool are toothless here.
Yeah, if you're watching that as the neutral, the writing's on the wall, and that's what I said to you. As soon as Salah hit it straight at Pickford, it was a good save. He made himself big, but that was it. Then, from a Liverpool perspective, if that doesn't go in, then we're not getting anything out of the game. So
your most threatening player was Trent.
Yeah, it was his best. He had his best game. I'd agree with you on that.
he did in a good while, yeah. And I said in the preview, ironically, I only figured it out after I'd done it. That both teams had the best chance of scoring down both teams as was it the right hand sides, I said, and Everton's right hand side and Liverpool's was fairly solid. Like ironically.
Everton's left, you commented on, didn't you?
Yeah, I said their goals will come from the left because our right side's fairly weak. And then I looked at their team, what I'd play, and I thought, now I look at their right hand side, we'll get at that as well. But yeah, the goal.
Take your hats off though, haven't you? Like Seamus Coleman, fucking hell. Like what if you we always joke about the song, don't we? 60 grand, Seamus Coleman. But if you we do a voice normally, but we'll leave that out. But if you look at like the fucking annals or annals of Premier League history, whatever you want to say, and you look at value for money, Ancelotti said, hasn't he? He's the best captain he's ever had. And Ancelotti's had like fucking Nesta, Cannavaro, Maldini. He's had captains, he's had leaders of men. To say that about Coleman, he's top fucking notch, and he nearly scored yesterday. And if you think about that chance he had, that's a bad miss. That isn't a good save from Alisson, is it? When he heads the ball straight at Alisson, point blank. If that's anywhere else, that's in the net, and it's 2-0 at that stage already.
Yeah. On the captaincy, that's probably just a bit of like confidence boosting though, like the way Pep said about Foden, he's the best player that I've ever seen naturally. He said it about Philip Lahm as well. They are good players, but it's probably like the Shankly used to do it, didn't he? To like Ron Yates, whatever his name was, and players like that. So probably a bit of that. Surely Coleman's not the best captain Ancelotti's ever managed. Like,
he doesn't mean he's the best player though, does he?
No,
he just means how he leads and what he expects from the players around him.
When you've had like Maldini, Nesta, Philip Lahm, these Sergio Ramos, he might be. I'm just saying it's probably more of a confidence boost thing for Seamus.
I think it is. He said Richarlison will win the Ballon d'Or as well, which is obviously never been.
Yeah, take that with a pinch of salt. I know. I was speaking to a couple of the lads, and there was this thing on Instagram, and it said most punchable Premier League player, and it was a picture of Jordan Henderson. I commented and said, Pogba is the one I would punch. That was the question. And then I've thought about it more, and it's a toss-up between Richarlison and Pogba. I'd punch one of them if I had the chance. Who would you punch, Steve?
Probably Phil Jones, for the facial expressions, but Phil Foden does me head in. Like he's the concentration face and the lines in his head. Like
I don't think them lines are natural.
What about the ones in his eyebrows?
Definitely not. What are you saying, Jay? Would you spark if you had the option?
He's a man of peace. He wouldn't spark anyone.
Give them a hug and celebrate the victory with them.
Robertson pisses me off.
Oh, my cousin Alan, he's a Blue. He hates Robertson. He absolutely hates him.
Yeah, but I think it's just the rivalry, to be honest. Like if Robertson played for West Ham, he probably wouldn't bother me. Probably the same with you with Richarlison. He probably wouldn't bother you that much.
Yeah, I wasn't asked about him at Watford. Like I thought he was a bit of a gamble when you signed him, but it's proven a good signing, hasn't it? But I just thought he's a lot of transfers now for big money are just on the basis of promise. Players who've had half a season or a season at max, and teams are happy to depart with 50 million upwards for players who've had half a stint. You saw it with Ousmane Dembele at Barcelona. They paid like 100 million for him, and he'd had like a season at Dortmund. I was thinking when you sign Richarlison, this could go either way, but he's obviously been a good buy for you in hindsight now.
Yeah, I would have took the money in January. The Barca offered 80 million last January for him.
Yeah, that's so Sky Sports News said. Yeah, didn't seem to get backed up by any other journalists. Like, but
wasn't it in the Times, lad? No, didn't you put it in the Times? No.
No, it never crossed my desk, that one. Like,
I was I'd seen this stat before. Just you mentioned Liverpool being toothless, and it was one of the Instagram stats. Like the page has got some good followers and what have you. It seems quite like it's got a decent rep. It said Wijnaldum's made one successful tackle in the last 16 games, and I thought, if that's right, like what the fuck is he? I don't know what he is. I hope he's got to go in the summer. Stay. I'm not arsed.
He is going in. He on a free, and you know, farewell to him. Not in a sense that I can't wait that you've gone, but he doesn't want to be at the club anyway. And
What's he offering though?
exactly, I don't think he's good enough. Like we've had a good 3 years out of him,
And he's won everything he can.
I've never been a big fan of him. I've just given him the recognition where he's been a great cog in a great side, but he's never done anything outstanding apart from the Barcelona game and a few of the games we went to. Remember, we went to Arsenal in 2017.
And he ran it.
We beat them 4-0 and he ran it. Like, couldn't play him. But those games for him are like we've said, 1 in 10, if that.
1 in 15, yeah. I think with him, and first of all, let's have it right. You loved him. You had Genie 5 on your top for about 3 seasons, so don't even start lying that you've never loved him. But I think, and I've said it to a few of the lads, we'll miss him as much as we missed Emre Can. Like, no one even remembers that he played for us, do you know what I mean? He'll just fade into the background. It's just the fact that he's won trophies, he's got some cult status at the club. But I was thinking about, like, the issues that we've got, and the more deep-seated than just Virgil van Dijk being injured. I'm not having that as an excuse. Like, I don't know from an Everton perspective what you think about you know, the issues we've got. Jay, I don't know if you think it's just the case that we've had a lot of injuries and that's that, because I don't know what Everton's best 11 is, but if your 2 best centre-halves were injured, you probably would have some issues, but I don't think you can attribute that to the capitulation that we've shown over the past, 10 games. In the last 10 games, Liverpool is 17th in the form table, lad.
Especially when it happens to Liverpool, because if it happens to a team that, let's say Everton, for example, I don't know what your average possession is per game, but yesterday we had 79% of the ball, did we? Like,
means fuck all, does it?
69. And yeah, that's what I'm going to say. So, you know, if a team like us are still capitulating and we've still got bulk of the possession, I liken it to boxing. You know, when a fighter takes centre of the ring, we always own the pitch. Like, all the time we own the pitch. Whether we do anything with the ball's another matter. But if it would have happened to like many other teams, like they would have fallen down the league like way more than we've done. But it's just part of football, isn't it? Like, what can you do, really? And as soon as Henderson pulled up yesterday, I just went, oh, for fuck's sake. That was another one, you know.
It's not losing at Anfield for 2 years and then losing 4 times on the bounce there. Like,
yeah,
that to me is the biggest indicator that there's more going on than just you're in a bad run of form. There's got to be something else.
It's a precarious position because you go back to last year and everything's perfect. We've got this Michael Edwards in, who's a genius, a master at signing players, getting good bang for his buck. And then you've got like the youth coming through, like Jones, Nico Williams. At the time last year, you know, he was still a prospect who could be good. I know you hate him, Dave, but you know, you had a few players like that, and everything looked rosy. But we've probably just had too many players in tandem that have just declined in the one go, and then that just looks like it's left a vacuum of you know, sort of.
Go on.
A mad analogy is like the Middle East, you know, and there's like a vacuum of power, and then you see how like it gets taken over. That's what it's like. There's been like, we've had a good group of players in charge, and then overnight it's sort of like they've all just gone stale, and it's all happened in tandem with one another, except for Salah. And this is now you're seeing the cracks maybe behind behind our work. But again, are we overreacting?
No.
I don't think
and I'll tell you why, because it's like you just said, the thing is with Liverpool, right, and a lot of other teams in the world, Liverpool's all about the joint goal and the system, and I've said it 1,000 times, we're like an F1 car, when all the pistons are firing, they're unstoppable, but if one piston goes, you start to see the cracks form, as you've just said. Now, loads of people will say, But if Van Dijk and Gomez are fit, Fabinho would be in the midfield with Henderson, and that would enable the wing-backs to get forward more. Then Mane and Salah will get more chances. But that's too fucking difficult. You should just have your best 11 players playing the best football and winning. Now, if you want to talk about systems versus quality, I love Jordan Henderson now. You know, I've done a complete U-turn on him. But is he getting in Man City's team? No, he's not. Fabinho might get in Man City's team, but that's probably about it from our midfield. Thiago quite hasn't done it yet. And the problem is we're too reliant on this gegenpress, this system of football, which is all reliant on everything being 100%. We need everything to be perfect to play football, and we can't win when it's not. And that's why I think, like Jamie said, there's more of a deep-rooted problem than just Virgil's injured. Because when Virgil was fit, we conceded 13 goals in 3 games. Granted, 7 were against Villa, but we had a full-strength team against Villa. Other than Adrian in goal, and he didn't have any clangers in that game, really. So I think the injuries is too easy an excuse. We can't not blame that because, as you just said, if we were 5 points clear at the top of the league, and then, you know, if everyone else wins, we're going to be like 7th or 8th maybe. And we'd probably be further down. Like, imagine Salah having scored 17 this season, lad. Like, where would we be without that? But yeah, I do think we're not. I don't think we're overreacting, no. I think this season's shown that there's a lot of fuckery going on.
Yeah, for me, I think it's just to echo that. It is the lack of a plan B, as we've said many times. And I go back to if we were playing Everton again next week or Burnley, he wouldn't change his style of play. You know what I mean? And again,
it's that though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like we're only playing the Liverpool way, and that's it. It's very easy then for the opposition, like Carlo yesterday, to just nullify us and get the win. Like, it's predictable football. I want to see something different from Klopp or the coaching staff. Like, it's Klopp in it. He's obviously got the final say on are we playing or X, Y, Z and all that type of stuff. So
yeah.
Ironically, when we were getting Klopp and Ancelotti was available, I think it's probably only me and you that wanted Ancelotti at the time, was it?
Yeah.
But we were happy with
by the way.
Yeah, we were happy with Klopp, but it was just more after having Rodgers, I felt like I wanted someone who'd been there and done it. You know, I couldn't really be bothered with another coach to prove himself. Although he'd done it with Dortmund, he still had that air of like he's coming up, he's got to prove himself. Whereas Ancelotti doesn't have that at all. He's delivered for the last 20 years. But you know, I renege on that as well because I'm made up. We got Klopp with everything that we've done since. I wouldn't swap him. I just want him to like change his tactics, maybe based on the opposition going forward.
Well, if you can't win a game, it's a simple thing to say, but you shouldn't be losing a game. So like with Everton, yeah, like Everton adopted their style against City to be more pragmatic. It didn't work out. They did it against us, and it did work out, and they got the 3 points, and it's an epic win for them. As the after scenes videos would tell you. Put down the times, Jamie.
1 second there. I think I should have that here, shouldn't I?
There we go. Steve's got it up. So yeah, that I'm sure you're in the back there, aren't you, Jay? Writing some notes down.
I don't mind all that, mate. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I like to see it. But remember, there was a time when Liverpool drew with West Brom 3-3, and we went and celebrated with the club, and we got 2-2. We got fucking rinsed for it, didn't we? Because we drew that.
That was funny. It was all like times teams had gone to the crowd and they were doing that, and it was like all last-minute winners. You know, like I don't know, Bayern Munich in the semi-finals of the Champions League, and it had all these comparisons, and it just said Liverpool FC 2-2 draw at home with West Bromwich Albion, and we were all like.
I was at that game, and I swear to God, it was epic. It was epic when that happened, I swear. I was like, I turned to my Eddie and I was like, that's why we're going to win the league with him. We drew West Brom.
It was a proper shit goal as well, weren't it? A massive deflection. I remember that.
Yeah. That was fucking mad.
It's probably the one game, isn't it? Like if you could have said to them at the start of the season, and all the fans as well, pick one fixture that you'll win this season, it's the derby away against the champions, your local rivals, and it's away.
Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think COVID has taken away some of the symbolism of big matches like that this year? Where I'm not taking anything away from yous, but it's like it doesn't have that air of emphaticness, does it? Because of COVID.
No, I agree with that. But what I will say is, like, maybe we needed it. Like, it gave us an opportunity to break that hoodoo of 23 years or whatever it was. We won't have so much fear going to Anfield in future, even when there is fans, because that record isn't there, like the monkey on the back kind of thing.
Well, all our records this season have gone. Like I said it in my preview the other day, that all those stupid records, they've gone now. Like we haven't had, we had about 8 players in the team that had never lost at Anfield. Like, how ridiculous is that? Like, for about 3.5 years, it was crazy, but all the records still stand on the crowds there, so I suppose you got that to lean back on. Steve sings his heart out when he goes, like, he probably loves a good sing-along, don't you, Steve?
I'm more of like not a moaning fan, but I'm never really like a...
You're never satisfied, are you?
I'm never like, go on, lad, do him, lad. Like, I'm more like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like one of them types.
He's like that when we scored, though. He fumes about it.
Shit!
Yeah, it's an odd thing with Everton, because I commented on it on my preview, and I'm still not sure, as I say, like, what Everton's brand is and what the style is. And I don't know, what have you seen anything this season, Jamie? Is he trying to play a certain way, or is it just at the minute get the players a need for the system, be organised, and get points on the board?
No, we seem to change system and players just game by game. Like, he's like the ultimate pragmatic manager. He just sets up. He must just train all week and just target that one game.
Well, he is Italian, and so you do expect that.
Yeah, but I couldn't nail down what our style is. Like, it is hard to say, and that shows sometimes, because especially like in the games against like the fodder, we don't have a way that we're going to try and win. It's just like sometimes we just rely on someone coming up with something brilliant.
Yeah.
And it can be frustrating at times, but then he's getting the most out of this squad at the moment, I would say.
What do you think they need to progress then? What's needed, in your opinion, for Everton to become a top 4 side? Is it
another $500 million will do it, Steve?
Will it though?
No, it's a good question.
Is it specific players that you'd like to sign, or is it a specific formation that you think he should try and employ consistently, or what are your thoughts?
I think that in my head, the best way forward is like a 4-3-1-2. So you've got your back 4. Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin as 2 like proper strikers, and then Rodriguez in behind them, feeding them. And
That's a good triangle, that, like.
And then like the solid 3 behind the midfield, and then but what we need for that is the 2 fullbacks to be flyers. So we've got one in Dean, but I know Coleman was brilliant last night. He rolled back the years, but this season in general he hasn't been great. And we've been playing Holgate at right back a lot of the time. So we just need someone on that right-hand side who can get up and down. I know we've been linked with Max Aarons quite a lot. So,
what do you think of Lamptey at Brighton?
Yeah, I like him. I don't know how much they'd want for him now.
Where's Aarons now? Is he still at Norwich? Because I know everyone was after him.
Yeah, but we signed Ben Godfrey from Norwich, so I'm wondering if
he's been a good signing, him.
Yeah.
Who's the one?
One of the players of the season for us.
Who's the Norwich guy we were after, and he went to Newcastle, and we got Simakis instead?
The left back.
Yeah,
Jamal Lewis.
Oh,
that's it. Jamal Lewis. Yeah.
If you start David Moyes at Everton, you'd probably get James Tavernier for that right side at the minute. I'm
just because he's Scottish.
No, he plays for Rangers, doesn't he? But
yeah.
I'm thinking Tavernier there, would he actually be a bad signing in the Premier League? He's aged 29, coming up to 30, but he scored like 17 goals this year, hasn't he, from right back? A lot of them.
There's talk of him being in the Euro squad, isn't there?
Is he Scottish then? I don't.
No, he's English.
Because what I'll say, and I'll probably get laughed at, but there are some players. By the way, Tavernier, I'm not saying he's this player because he's been at Wigan, he's been around the lower leagues, but he might be a decent signing for Everton, a very shrewd one for at least 18 months. But players like Kieran Tierney, Van Dijk, Wanyama, they didn't have to go to Southampton. I know Tierney went straight to Arsenal, but you could see they're good enough to go straight to a big Premier League club. And the Scottish League, like those players Celtic and Rangers get, they have really good scouting systems. Like the players they end up signing.
Morelos is like a bit of a Suarez type character, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's obviously an elite level goal scorer, but he flies off the handle a bit. But never mind having him for Everton. Fucking hell, get him at the Reds. Like, you know, I've said it a few times, you know, I want Trent up the park. And I think Jamie's spot on. Like with Trent yesterday, you could see he was local and he wanted to win. Now, one of the caveats with that is me and you both were screaming out for John to have a game, weren't we, against Everton, and he didn't show up. He was shit. And I'll give you know, Tom Davis. I can't stand the little kethead, but I'll give him his due. Like, he's a local boy, and if anyone deserves to be jumping around like a knobhead, then it's him. You know what I mean? I'll give him that. He shouldn't be on the 110s adverts because he's fucking wool. But he did play well, and he's starting to play better under Ancelotti from what I've seen. But correct me if I'm wrong, but he's playing in the six more so at the minute, isn't he? He's playing dead deep and getting the ball from the centre backs.
Yeah.
Thought so. So, you know, if he's playing under Ancelotti, he's obviously got a bit about him, hasn't he? Ancelotti's not going to be playing him if he's dog shit. But I think Everton's front two, if you had that system with the wingers flying on, say you got a Lamptey or you got Aarons in, they'd be a real handful to deal with, really physically, and they're both light and fast, aren't they, as well? So that would be tough for any centre half pair in there. I don't know who you think. Like with us, we were talking and saying, like, with Liverpool at the minute, like, we haven't got a star player, and everyone moans and laughs at me and Steve when we're like, you know how I'll describe Mo Salah to an Everton fan? He's Romelu Lukaku when Lukaku played for Everton. All he does is score. That's it. Now everyone says, like, isn't that enough? And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. By the way, Lukaku scored tonight, and so did Lautaro against AC Milan. You win 3-0, weren't he? Last I saw. So
I like that Lautaro. I'd have him at us, but
I'd have him at us, yeah. But I don't know, like, you know, who do you think's Everton's star player at the minute? Have you got a star player? Is it Rodriguez, or have you not got that one? You can you can guarantee he's going to show up like a Bruno Fernandes.
This year that's probably been Calvert-Lewin. Like, he only needs 1 or 2 chances to bag. But yeah, what you're saying there about Salah and the likes of Lukaku, they just score. He doesn't just score. He'll give defenders a handful all day. Like, no defenders want to play against him.
He come on yesterday, didn't he? And he took that ball down on his chest. And if you're a centre back, you must think, oh, for fuck's sake. And we've said it about Calvert-Lewin, like that. He won't have a long career if he keeps playing like that, like the lone striker having to like batter everyone.
He needs help, doesn't he?
Yeah, he needs help to play that game. And like me and you said, Dave, a few months ago, he must see the team sheet and he's up against like, 2 centre-back rocks, like, I don't know, the Brighton pair. And he must just think, oh, for fucking hell, it's going to be a battle today. You know, one of them. He knows what when he wakes up, he knows how he's going to have to play, but he does need help. Like maybe another, I know you said Richarlison up top, but maybe another, just a clever forward who runs in behind and, you know, a bit of pace and they open the body up, finishes sharply and that. Because Richarlison's not that type of forward, is he? But, you know, like a bit of an Aguero, but not an Aguero. I just can't think of anyone off the top of my head. Like
the lad from Wolves, you like?
Oh, Podence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah. He'd be good at his. But did you see that attempt? Sorry, did you see that attempt Calvert-Lewin had this year against Sheffield United? If he scores that, that's goal of the season. When he took it down on his chest and volleyed it, but it just went wide. Don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
I think he thrives on that, like, bullying defenders, though, to be honest. When you say that, he's thinking, fuck's sake. But when I saw him coming on yesterday, he looked up for it. He was like, yeah, I've got a job to do here. And he just come on and done it. Like, and he did.
Yeah, well, we're against our defence yesterday. Nat Phillips was at fault for the goal, but Nat Phillips is solid. He is a solid defender. He's never going to be a Liverpool player for whatever reason. Klopp doesn't like him. But every time I've seen him, he's played well. And that would be a battle like him and Phillips for 90 minutes. Like, Phillips is dead aggressive. He's good in the air. Calvert-Lewin's the best. He's got the best leap in Europe. I can't think of any one player who's got a better leap than him. I think he scored 14 last season in the league, there or thereabouts, and he's near enough. He's at 14 this season already, isn't he? So he's having a great season. He's got to go to the Euros for me. I mean, you could even play Harry Kane off him, couldn't you? Like they've been doing at Tottenham. You know, where Kane's in the hole, just feeding him.
That's
like he's got to be there.
Who's going to be the striker above Kane? Now, it will be Kane up top, but I think they should play Kane deeper and have a striker up top. But I'd say Sterling, but he's not clinical enough. If you just played Sterling as a little striker, but he's not clinical enough.
You in that system, if you're going to play Kane the way you do at Tottenham, you play Vardy, because Vardy replicates Son, doesn't he? Just because of the pace, you would play that style. But yeah, I don't think like Everton, Leicester, West Ham, there's teams out there now that are there or thereabouts, 2 or 3 more players, and the top 4 becomes a top 7 really fast, doesn't it? At the minute, you know, we're 5 points off West Ham, and we've beat West Ham twice this season. How the fuck does that happen? Yeah, they're 4th now. Top 3's shown up in my book. So I think it's only 4th that's available.
I know. We're not going to win the Champions League, are we? It looks like, you know, famous last words. You never know with us, but with the crowd not being there, you'd probably say that Flames being squashed. Like, it depends who we get on it, but you never know.
I don't think you can win it with them centre backs. That's the problem.
No.
Yeah, that's the first time I've seen that Phillips yesterday, but I thought him and Kabak were all over the place.
Kabak had a bad game, and the writing was on the wall for him when he gave that cheap corner away.
Yeah, that was it. As soon as he done that, you just went, for fuck's sake. And you've signed him, right? And I know you can't go off FIFA or nothing like that, but like his stats on FIFA are good, and Davies' stats on FIFA are a bit average, but he's fast. He's like a 77, which is fast for a centre-back, isn't it? But what is the point in signing both of them? Like, he was on the bench yesterday. Is he even gonna play? Or is he going to have to play the next game in Sheffield? Because Kabak's shown that he's quite shit. I know it's early days and you can't write him off, but when a centre-back's playing bad or a goalie's playing bad, it's critical, isn't it? It's like threatening every single game. You just can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, you've had a fair share of them, haven't you, with your centre-backs over the years, and you've certainly had that with Pickford. He had a good game yesterday. And that's what I've said with Pickford. He can play like that, but his history for me is enough already. I wouldn't really be sticking with him on the base.
He's got to go, hasn't he? Surely he's got to go.
By the way, go back to what you need to do next and what you need to sign. I think that's it. Another goalkeeper.
Nick Pope.
Yeah, Nick Pope. Not even someone who's as good as Pickford on the reflexes, but someone who's not as detrimental as Pickford in those moments. How many points has he cost you approximately since he signed? Like, you're looking at what? Double figures there, like.
Yeah, well, he's up there for errors leading to goals, isn't he? With Kepa.
Yeah, like it's.
Yesterday, and we think, oh, okay, like if he can just repeat that consistently, then we don't need to worry about a goalkeeper. But then he'll throw a howler out there, and it's like, yeah, I don't think we can risk going into another season with him as our number 1, to be honest.
No,
that's what I was going to ask you there. Are you happy to stick with him and keep faith, or are you going to rest on your laurels? Like, if you
was what he done yesterday for the rest of the season, maybe, but
yeah,
I don't know. He's had so many last chances, but then he just keeps getting another chance. Because Olsen's not very good either. He was brought in on loan from Roma.
If he's England number 1 this summer, I'll eat my bloody hat. Like, I just not having Pickford as England number 1.
I think it should be Pope. Personally.
Yeah.
He's just solid and reliable, isn't he?
He always has a worldie against us as well.
But then Pickford hasn't made a mistake for England, really, has he? It's always for Everton, but then England are usually playing farmers, aren't they, in these types of games? So
that's it. He's not getting peppered, and that's the problem with England. They have these qualifications, and ITV, the commentary, they build it up in midweek, and it's like, can we get past Estonia? Of course we can, but they're never challenged in these qualifications. You know, if we had a group with Holland and France in it, we probably wouldn't qualify for the Euros.
No.
Not to make the whole podcast about England, but the World Cup 2018 was so overrated. It's just that this team beat who they should have beaten. Then when they stepped up twice against Belgium, they lost in the group. And then in the playoff for the third place. The best England performance I've seen under Southgate, Spain away, that first half, if you remember that.
Yeah, obviously.
That was quality. That was a bit like Germany in 2001 when Liverpool beat Germany 5-1.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of talent out there. There's a quartet of midfielders for England that are brilliant, and then you've got Harvey Barnes, Sterling. You know, you've got a whole choice of right backs you can pick from. But yeah, I don't know. You just don't know with England, do you? As you say, we come and stuck against the better teams. But for us this season, like success for Liverpool this season is top four. Anything other than that isn't success. And if we don't get top four, you know, that has repercussions on the players that we can buy because we're not in Champions League. We're not getting the Champions League money either. And then also it starts to raise the question, like teams like Barcelona are rebuilding. Now they've had an embargo on buying Liverpool players for 3 seasons. That embargo's up now. So they can buy players again from Liverpool. And they would be looking at the likes of Fabinho or, you know, Salah and that to rebuild their own team. So when you're not in the Champions League, you can't really keep hold of your top end players. So for us, it's Champions League or bust. But I wonder what's a good season for Everton then, Jamie? Is it top 6 or is it got to be top 4 now with Ancelotti and the money and all
that? Your expectations adjust, don't they, throughout the season? Say now that we're in with an outside chance of top 4. We're far from being favourites for it. A good season for us this season will be Europa League, and I think that was the aim at the start of the season. But it's about building slowly. So if we get in the Europa League this season and then another summer of a few good additions, and then we can push for the top 4 next season, I think that's good progress for us. I know we've spent millions and millions the past few years, but I think we just got to kind of forget about that. And if we can progress slowly each season, then I'm happy with that. But yeah.
I was looking at the table there now, and you know, you'd expect Chelsea to keep pushing on, wouldn't you, with Tuchel there? Can you see that screen? Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Chelsea, haven't we, after Sheffield?
Have we? Yeah. So
that's a 6-pointer, isn't it?
I mean, there's what is there? 13 games left, and out of them 13, what's that? Is that 39 points? I don't know, but
we're gonna need to win 8 or 9 of them games to get top 4.
So top 4 there, if you look at that, 72 to 75 points might get you top 4. And that's where both teams probably need to get. So both teams probably need to amass another 35 points, Liverpool and Everton, to guarantee a top 4 place, I'd say. And it's whether they can get 35 points from the remaining 13 games. But at the minute, there's no chance we're doing that.
The thing you have to remember with us is we finished 12th last season, and then we've added 4 players to the squad.
They've been good signings as well, haven't they? It's Godfrey, James, Allen, and
Decore.
Yeah, and I really like Decore. You know, I think he's a proper solid player, and we were linked with him the other year and Ndidi, and I think you were linked with Ndidi as well as Decore. But I think he's been solid for Everton this season, and loads of people, ourselves included, were surprised how technical Rodriguez was as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have an image of him in your head, don't you? Of being a bit of a fancy Dan, like, you know, trying shit that doesn't work. But he just plays it nice, doesn't he? And he's got a lot of quality. He's got a great left peg, and the assist yesterday was lovely.
Yeah.
I'll hold my hands up, and I said I don't think he's going to be that good in the Premier League due to the pace of people pressing him that quickly. But it just shows that your class can be transferable from La Liga, playing at Real Madrid where you've got ample time on the ball. I thought he's going to really struggle here getting it out of his feet and whatnot, picking that pass. And you saw it from the Tottenham game he's played. I think that game there, the writing was on the wall where you can tell, can't you, in the first few minutes. But that might be a bit of a stretch, but the first 10 minutes...
No, you can tell he's a player straight away.
You can tell if you've got a good signing on your hands or not. Yeah. And at the minute with Kabach, for us, the answer's no. But with Rodriguez, when you signed him, I know they're completely different players, but you knew I was proved wrong straight away. You know what I mean? So good signing under Ancelotti, especially.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people questioned his desire as well. Like if he'd work hard, but he worked his bollocks off actually, and he gets knackered after an hour. But
yeah,
it's hard.
I'm a bit like, with that, it does my head in a way when people put that on a pedestal, like, but does he work hard? Because I'm very much in the camp. If they are doing the bits that make the big moments in matches count, then are you that bothered if they even work hard? A bit like Mesut Ozil in a way. You know, he gets criticised, Ozil, for not running, but you knew when you signed him, your £40 million player is just there to get assists and get the assist before the assist. Like, does it really matter if they don't work hard?
Well, as long as you've got players to do the running for you, and if Rodriguez is in the midfield free with Allen and Decore, he's not going to have to do as much, is he? But he's going to do it when it matters. You know, he's going to sprinkle a bit of stardust when you need it. For Liverpool, you've got a player there with Firmino. You know, I've been crying out for 18 months. You can go back to our podcast, can't you, Steve? Over a year ago, and we're mentioning Firmino saying, he's not good enough to start anymore. When your whole game is work rate to create opportunities for the others, and you don't score, if that goes, then you're just like a pile of shit on the pitch. Like you're just there to be stepped over. Do you know what I mean? No one's asked about you, mate. And I know we signed we in the transfer window this season,
on the pitch.
this season we looked at our squad and went, right, Wijnaldum's going to be going, the midfield's not sharp enough, boom, get Thiago, right? Firmino's a pile of shit on the pitch, he's not going to be good enough anymore. We bring in Jota. We done the right things this season for the club, what needed to be done. Jota was arguably player of the season for us until he got injured. We were 5 points clear when Jota was in the team, and then Klopp played him in a rubber duck match in Europe away against fucking Michelin tyres or whatever the fuck they're called. He gets injured for 4 months. What the fuck?
I know.
So, I don't know. With him, I'm with you. You want someone to work hard, get a fucking whippersnapper out of the academy and let them run for you all day. And they fucking will, by the way. But if you want someone to make a difference, Luis Suarez is signed for Let's Go Madrid for 6 million. The top of the league by 7 points. He's their top scorer. Who would you rather have? Luis Suarez, who works hard, scores amazing goals, and is a fucking terror, or fucking turkey teeth up front for us?
I know. I've been watching them, by the way. Just I'll tag you in them on Instagram, but that John May and his character. Yeah. I'll tag you later, Jamie. But he's doing the Corona Mum Civil War. They are funny, like.
They are funny as clips. They are funny, like.
Come here. Yeah, I'll tag you both in them later. But
you've seen that one where he says to the like the fit blonde bird, like, come round Suarez later and I'll treat you like shit. And he just walks off.
That bird was Firmino.
Yeah, I'm worried about Bobby, but Jota should be fit enough soon. But you're talking mathematics now, aren't you? And I'm no fucking mathematician or anything like that. I know I haven't got a master's like our fucking guest we've got on today, old fucking Stephen Hawken over there. But
thanks,
we're not going to get 9 wins out of 13. But it's not happening.
No,
and that's what it's going to take. Everton could be buoyed from this win yesterday, and they could potentially kick on and do that. I'm not sure what the fixtures are like, whether it's bigger teams or it's relegation fodder that you've got, but we're not doing it.
The next 6 games for us are winnable, I'd say.
Well, there you go. You get them 6 in the back, then you're there, aren't you?
We've actually struggled in this season, which is quite ironic. They was well suited to us, actually.
So do you reckon you could get like 16 points out of that 18 then? You've got over the next 6, like you say there.
I confidently say that, just with the poor home results we've had recently, but
we
should do.
So we've got Sheffield United next, you say?
Then Chelsea.
I mean, that Sheffield United game, that's probably going to be the one where we're going to need that for a confidence boost, aren't we?
We need
this year.
Yeah, but you know what though? I've watched games of theirs and they've been unlucky, in so many games. Like
they should have got a penalty yesterday. He should have got a penalty.
Yeah. I was watching it, and they get chances, but they're not clinical. And they spent money big. What was it, 20 odd million on Brewster? He was meant to be the striker for them. He's obviously been a bit shit, hasn't he? But we need 6 points there. Tuchel, Klopp, who knows what'll happen with the Chelsea game? You just don't know. They dropped points again, didn't they? Which is good for us, but fucking hell, I don't even know where we're getting goals from. I mean, you look at the Leipzig game, 2 fuck-ups, lad. Other than that,
I know.
But just what you were saying before, Stay, you got 75 points. I don't think it will be anywhere near that you need the top 4.
You're probably right. I'm overestimating it there, but the last few seasons, hasn't it been around that though?
Yeah, but if you compare this at this point this season to this point last season and the last couple of seasons, the points are nowhere near. Like City's in the league on about 85, and they're going to be about 10, 15 points ahead of everyone else.
Well, the last few years,
65 points for top 4, I think.
Yeah, us and City have been outliers, haven't they? But it usually, like you say there, it's been around 70 odd points, which gets you 4th. What do you reckon there then? Like 65 maybe?
I'd say 65.
Yeah. Because people are going to drop points again, aren't they? Like, fucking hell, knowing Everton, they could end up getting beat by whoever they got next, like they did against Fulham. And knowing Liverpool, we could fucking draw with Sheffield and beat Chelsea. But there's no form, is there? Like, there's no form this season. Everyone's like up and down. Like, it's crazy. City, you know, they're just looking at every game like a training exercise. I'm not sure what score they finished with Arsenal because we started filming this, but I don't think we're going to get it. I think the top 4 will be Leicester. They'll win the league, Leicester. Joking, lad. Leicester, City, and then United. And then I think it'll most likely be Chelsea or Everton will get top 4. I don't think West Ham will stay up there. I think the class will show through in the other teams. But, well, I mean, what Moyes is doing with West Ham there, he's made some good signings, hasn't he, with that Soucek in the midfield. And you know, he's got some of the old battle axes playing. And who's the lad on the left there, the Latin kid?
I don't know. I like Jared Bowen. You've got as well. I've mentioned him a few times. He's a little.
Put a quality ball in today.
Ben Rama.
Ben Rama.
That's it.
Brentford, yeah, he's a quality player. He's got that something special as well, a bit like Adel Taarabt. Like he can actually do something mad skill type.
Fornals as well. He's the other one I was thinking of.
For the last year or so, Antonio's been bagging.
He's like a proper striker, isn't he now?
Yeah.
So
he's at the back as well, aren't he? So
yeah, he's got them playing, hasn't he? To his due, and if they kick on next season as well, you know, it's going to be interesting. What happens? We'll have to definitely, maybe, depending on how shit Liverpool have become, by the next derby, maybe do another one. I've Jamie as our regular blue nose guest because he won't give us that much shit.
No, well, at least we've got a contact.
Kickoff.
What's that?
You watched the kickoff.
Yeah.
I was watching that yesterday. We were talking about the derby after the game.
Steve hates Lawrence though with all his soul, don't you?
I do. I don't like him. He's a fucking wet flannel. But the last couple of episodes, like, do you watch it on Twitch? Do you, or just the highlights?
Just the highlights.
Yeah, I've seen the last episode. He's really put that McCullough in his place, and I liked Adam McCullough, but I've gone off him the last couple of episodes. But yeah, he's done well the last few. Lawrence, what were you saying about it yesterday? Anyway, the kickoff.
That James Alcott, you know him. He was on there. He was.
Yeah.
Talking about whether, like, just the idea that Liverpool might not even get top 4 is mad, but momentum is such a powerful thing in football, and you've got no momentum at all. You're just dropping like a stone, whereas teams around you are starting to build momentum. West Ham, Leicester have got loads of momentum. After the result last night, we might start to build some momentum. So,
yeah,
we were lucky.
Not your squad, but you look at your first 11, you just think you easily get top 4, but actually, when you look at it, like the results, the way they're going, it's hard to see.
We've been lucky this season because loads of times when we've dropped points, people around us have dropped points. And it's like Jamie's saying there, teams are now picking up the points and we're still fucking dropping them. So we are in free fall. Even momentum in a game, it makes such a difference. You said it just then, Steve. Dead early on, but Kabak hits that ball out and you're like, oh, straight away, you're under pressure. Everton nearly scored from that. And then straight away, they're lifted. They're like, shit, their asses have gone here. They don't fancy it. And you've got fucking Captain Saparoo in midfield. Wijnaldum won't put a fucking foot tackle in anywhere. Honest to God, there's too many shit houses in that team at the minute.
It's the same when you play like a Saturday league, innit? And how many times have you heard the opposition go, they don't want it. They don't want it. And it's obviously the same there. So
It's whenever Steve's got the ball, he say
that. Yeah. Give it to someone else. But yeah, that's it. Like, it sets the precedent for the game there, and momentum was with Everton straight away. So we did come back a bit, take control. And that's the one thing with Liverpool, because we still do have good quality. We've always got that spell in a game that's at least around 20 minutes to half an hour where the other team will be under the cosh. But our version of putting a team under the cosh is just very predictable. You know, Trent yesterday had a good game, his first good game in a few weeks. He puts that ball, fizzes it in, and there's no striker like trying to fucking trying to die for it. You know what I mean? Like, fucking put your body on the line and gamble, as Andy Gray would say, you know. But just fucking do that, and no one slides in. The ball just...
Do you know why, though? We haven't got a proper striker, though. That's the thing. If that was DCL, he's launching himself at that because he's a 9. We haven't got a 9, and that's the issue with Firmino. He's a luxury we can't afford to have in the team anymore. We're too like, we won't play with a striker. I can't buy someone.
I can't believe we don't have a recognised striker at the club in that sense, a dedicated, like, little fella who's going to get in behind, you know, anyone like that, or just, there's no one at Liverpool FC where that's their craft. Like, no. And
if you wanted to be ruthless, for us, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Shaq, and you know I like Shaq, but Oxlade-Chamberlain, Shaq, Origi, fucking Wijnaldum, Minamino, none of them are good enough. They all need to be legged. What's the point in them being there? The Ox, did I say the Ox? I like the Ox, but he's a fucking crock lad.
I think they're just a bit past the sell-by date. You know, they've had a good couple of years in the peak years, and you can't really ask for more than that. But Minamino, there's a few fans going, oh, why have we let him go? And it's like, I'm sorry, but he wasn't getting in the side anyway. And when he has played, he doesn't really do anything. He looks a bit like he could look dangerous, but a player like him needs to go on loan. And then when he goes on loan and he bangs them in, it's no good saying, oh, we should have kept him. Like,
no, but what I will say is, though, it's like, do you remember when we let Andy Carroll go out on loan and we didn't have a striker? And we signed Sam Diessel on the last day of the fucking season, who no one will remember. But we didn't have a striker. We were going to get Clint Dempsey, and Henderson decided he wouldn't go to Fulham. That's like, we've left ourselves short. Like, everyone's going on, and I said to you, Steve, about Liverpool's defenders. It's the attackers that aren't doing the business. We're not conceding 5 a game. The attackers aren't doing none. So you've got an attacker there in Minamino, and don't get me wrong, I've just said he should go. He should go. But at the end of the day, why would you let him go out when you're not scoring any goals? Do you know what I mean? At least he scored in the Prem this season. Like, granted, it's only 1, I think, against Palace, but why would you let him go when he's an option, when you're not scoring any goals? It's just, it's fucked harder in my mind.
Well, there's a bit of that in it with it as well. It's like, you don't know if they don't play. It's sort of, they need the chance and stuff like that. What I will say is, if he comes available, and we wouldn't get him, I don't think, but if we don't at least try and sign Haaland, it'll be criminal. Yeah. But more so for me, Haaland, because it's a shame now we're probably going to finish 7th, 6th, because we've ruined our chances of signing a player like that for at least a good few years. If we don't get top 4 this year, he's not going to want to play for us, is he, in the Europa League? But if we don't sign, like, at least go for him and don't even bid, then that'll do my fucking head in. And I'm not saying we should get him, we're going to get him, but at least try. Even, you know, we might do behind the scenes, but his release clause is something ridiculously low, like 60 million for a player like him at the minute. Everyone's going to be after him, but you've got to go for that.
You go to Munich to replace Bobby Lewandowski, won't you?
You'd imagine so. And if he does, like Dortmund, they're just shit houses like that. I mean, it's not really up to them, is it? If a bid comes in, they've got to accept it, I guess. But how many players do they just let go to Bayern Munich? Like,
well, the one place he's not going is United, isn't it? Because of his art fella.
Says that, but money talks, doesn't it? Like,
well, they were in for him now, weren't they? That's why he went to Dortmund.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm trying to think of another top half Premier League team that doesn't have like a proper number 9 who scores goals, and I can't.
Doesn't exist, lad, that's why.
City, because Aguero's always injured, they've only got Jesus, really, haven't they?
Yeah, well, the thing with City though is it's like, you know, if Sterling doesn't play, they just put Mahrez in, who won Player of the Year 3 years ago, and he's like one of the best African players the last 10 years. You know, if David Silva goes, they've got Bernardo Silva. They don't even need that number 9 anyway, do they? The talent they've got at the disposal. Arsenal have got Aubameyang. You got Tottenham with Son, I'd say, rather than Kane.
Have you
Chelsea.
seen Aubameyang's goals record? 62 and 105.
Yeah, it's a good record. That, like, you know, they paid 60 mil. They done the business, but that's what I'm saying though. They got him from Dortmund, in demand player, 60 mil. I just think, like, if I was on the Liverpool board, I'd be like, lads, come on, let's bid for him, Erling. You know, it's one of them. It makes too much sense. But the money's there though. Like, the money is there, and the money's there for most Premier League clubs with the TV revenue. Ones that have not been relegated in the last 5 years, I'd say anyone can really bid for that. It's just the wages, isn't it? That's what gets clubs into the red more so.
I know,
I
man.
thought Go ahead, Jay.
Sorry, for years they've been world class, but like one thing you haven't done is succession plan. Like, cause they're coming up to 30 now, aren't they? But there's no one waiting in the wings to take over them.
Well, that's what I mean by the vacuum. You know, that's where football is quite precarious, because it's finding the perfect equilibrium, and there was no one better doing it than Alex Ferguson. And even when he did do it, United did still have a gap where they wouldn't win the league for 3 years, but they were always top 4. They were always second. That's since the Bob Paisley days or Dalglish left. That's probably been our downfall. There's no good balance in the side. The transitional period, too many players go at once, and it's like trying to muster something up from thin air.
But you're not using the academy like you are, though. You know, you're right there with the boot room, aren't you? Like, you know, Robbie Fowler broke in and scored 30 goals a season plus for 3 years running under the age of 23. He's the only player to do that in Premier League history. And then as he started to get a few niggles, there's Michael Owen sniffing about. By the way, Ian Rush was still playing with Fowler. So you're right in the fact that there's no succession plan. But I do think they've identified with the front three, right, there's 2 years left in Mane and Salah at their best. And, you know, I think Salah should play in the 9 anyway, because he's a useless right winger. He's slow and he can't take anybody on. I know that's controversial, but fuck yous. And they've looked at Jota and gone, we'll bring Jota in, because Bobby's probably fading out now. And then you've seen that. He started to start Jota. When he played against the Atalanta away, I thought I was watching Suarez for a minute.
Yeah.
But everywhere else on the park, you're spot on. There's no succession plan in the team at all.
They've probably been sold a bit short there, the board, by the front three this year, except Salah. But, you know, Mane, Firmino in particular, they probably thought, we're going to get another good year out of them. But it's not worked out that way. And why that is, I'm not too sure. But, yeah, maybe a different style of play going forward for us. And I don't know, like Thiago should have been a great signing, but we're here again. And again, that's a signing where it's probably a bit like, maybe he's just not cut out for the Premier League. Although he's not really had a bad, terrible game, but he's not owning the games like I thought he would do. Now, if that's me having too much of a high expectation, probably. But I thought he would come in and control games, like at the drop of a hat. I don't know.
I think he has done in certain games, in certain moments. And like against Everton, and in that second half, he ran that fucking game. After he got whacked by Richarlison, he got back up and he was playing well. And when we scored that goal, which got disallowed, it was his pass to Mane which created that goal. But I do think you're right in the sense that...
Yeah,
Goodison, yeah. You're right in the sense that he's not controlling the games. But he needs to be in a team that's dominating. Like, if we had him last season when we were dominating, he'd run the game. Like, he's not a player that's going to change the game for you, chasing a result when you need to win.
We do dominate, though. We dominate the ball. It should
no,
be.
No, but I mean, it's easy domination, though. It's backwards and fucking left. You know what I mean? You said it yourself when we're dominating teams and we're pressing them. We're not pressing them. We're not challenging them. City squeezed that far up the pitch. Look at the 18-yard box. There's like 8 players on the 18-yard box. The ball goes anywhere, City getting it and scoring. With us, it's high wingers, split defence. And now, because we've got slow fucking OAPs at the back that move like OAPs at least, fucking hell, you probably pay Phillips, not saying son. We're just susceptible to the counter-attack. Look at the DCL one. Give Trent his due. Trent went with him all the way, and it wasn't a pen. Well, whatever. But he went with them all the way. But the way we're dominating games, it's shit. Leicester won the league with like 35% average possession. You don't need to be on the ball to win games. Everton had, 21% possession yesterday? They won 2-0. No one's asked about possession. I hate the way Klopp is constantly coming out going, we played great, 90% of the game was good. Fuck off, mate. Come out and tell us we're not doing good enough and we'll try better. We'll try and be better for you. Just stop pretending everything's kosher because it's fucking not.
Yeah. Surely he's not doing that in the staff room though, or like the dressing room, is he? You'd hope not.
No, he's probably fucking battering Robbo because they all fucking scream at him, don't they, for everything, and Trent just gets away with murders.
Yeah.
One thing that was different about yesterday's derby, I don't know if it was because there was no fans.
You got no fans?
No, definitely. It was flat straight away from our perspective.
Your players didn't look like they'd die for it, which in a derby is normally the bare minimum that you get from Liverpool. And go back and watch the Sigurdsson penalty. I don't know if you noticed this, but someone pointed it out to me. When he hits the pen, Trent and Wijnaldum on the edge of the box, they don't even follow it in at all. They just stand there.
I haven't noticed.
Saves that. Sigurdsson taps it in easily.
Yeah.
He didn't move.
I didn't see that.
I didn't. I'll have to watch it again.
And I don't know if it's a confidence thing or not, but they were in their own world. Like,
yeah.
If he keeps that pen out, it's still 1-0 and you've got 10 minutes to go and you can get something out of that game.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you see Alisson after the game with Pickford, that picture that's going around?
No.
So after the game, Alisson's got his arm around Pickford, like they're covering their mouths, laughing and joking. You can see them smiling, walking off together, arm in arm. And Klopp's behind them both, and he's just giving Alisson daggers, mate. Like, the form he's been in, the points he's cost us, for Everton to get that win yesterday after 22 years, 4th loss on the run. By the way, it's the worst form me and you have seen in our lives. You know, there's no worse form. We haven't lost 4 on the run in 98 years until yesterday. So here's another stat for your ass. But Alisson's fucking arm in arm with Pickford. Give him a fucking blowjob when you get back in the fucking changes, mate. Don't be doing it when we're all watching.
Probably fucking did. But it's a job in it for half of these. Like,
yeah. Roy Keane be having kittens over that.
Yeah, that's a shocker. That shouldn't be doing that. You know, maybe shouldn't even be doing it in the changes. You know, have a gab with him perhaps, but don't do it in front of the cameras. That's criminal. And Alisson's not a good penalty saver. He just isn't. So I mean, Trent there's no excuse, but he's probably given the penalty away, a non-penalty. So he's probably like, this is fucking shit. It's like spitting his dummy out a bit. That's why he didn't react. But Wijnaldum just turns up when he wants to, and I don't know. But it was a really good, accurate penalty, but I thought Alisson still maybe should have done better on it.
Yeah, I said that.
Due to the pace of the ball.
Yeah.
But you would have won anyway, so it's irrelevant. So, yeah.
Deserved win. I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, another bad refereeing decision. I heard a stat about VAR saying we've had 11 VAR decisions go against us this year, and it's more than anybody in the whole of the last calendar season. But it doesn't mean nothing. Like, Salah be on 21 goals if it went for VAR this year. He said himself he hates VAR. But there's too many excuses going on, and I hate it. I just think we've got our normal front three in the team. How many goals have they scored this year? So, you know, suck a dick. Like, I'm not having all these excuses all the time about injuries. There's too much of that going on where it's like FSG out, this, that, and the other. There's 11 players on the pitch. Once they go on the pitch, Klopp can't do fuck all. He cannot do fuck all. It's on them players to win that game and to step up. Like Jamie said, the minimum you'd expect to die for the team on them days. And I suppose by Everton's reaction after it, you could see Duncan Ferguson. He's like a fucking kid who's just seen his first breast, isn't he, on the touchline? Like he's made up. He's giddy, isn't he?
I remember
Fuck off. Dickhead.
When you say that there, though, it's like Klopp leaves them to go on it. There must be a contrast at some point with the players where someone like, I don't know, usually with the goalkeepers or the defence, they force the defence to play. Sometimes defenders must just want to kick it out and the goalies must want to. But how confined are they to managerial tactics? So when you say there, it's up to the players on the pitch, but sometimes do you think players have to play within themselves? Because if they just go and basically have freedom or they try and do something that they shouldn't do, they might get a bollocking, and then we are therefore more conservative.
Yeah, potentially. I know when we beat West Ham, he brought Shaqiri off, and Shaqiri just done that assist for Salah, and Klopp was bollocking him about something. And he has those players that he'll do that to, but you never see him bollocking fucking Wijnaldum, do you? You know, because he's just a teacher's bitch, isn't he? Like Lallana, he'll do what Klopp says to the letter, and Klopp will love that. And I'm not a Klopp. I'm not saying Klopp out. I'm not. I really don't want Klopp to go anywhere. That's just idiotic if you say that. But the board will have to say to him at the start of next season, what's the recovery plan then? And there'll have to be conversations. If this was any other club in Wales football, he'd be sacked. After that, after them 10 games, he'd be sacked.
Yeah.
Mourinho won't be far off it now, surely.
I know. I mean, you don't want Klopp sacked, though, do you? Like, just to...
No, not at all. But he's going to have to justify it, isn't he? He can't just be like, right, no conversation needs to be had. Like, you know, you're going to have a word with them, aren't you, and say, look, what you need, what can we do? What was the issue, you know, in the main? And, you know, people are saying about the training. Is the training too rigorous? Because we're playing so often. To train like Klopp wants you to train, but playing 3 times a week. Do you need to adjust that? And I don't know. Because he got a whole host of injuries when he first joined the club, do you remember?
Yeah.
When he started the training with them, they were injured every other week.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I mean, I think we're probably in the position where he's going to just stick with the front three again for another year based on merit of what we did previously. And the front three might have another good year next year. It could just be a blip because you've had many bad defending champions, you know, Chelsea, Arsenal in 05.
Leicester the way.
But yeah, Leicester, don't quote me on Arsenal there, but it could just be a seasonal blip. We don't know. But one thing's for certain, the age they're at, they are going to eventually start to decline naturally anyway. But it wouldn't surprise me if a big team, a big like Barcelona, Madrid, do come in for Salah this summer and just say, look, there's 120 million. And if he goes, then we are really up shit creek. You know, I don't know. I mean, from an Everton perspective, is there any players that you worry about might leave in the summer just on a random one and you're really like not fucked, but it sets you back a year or so? Do you think anyone might come in for your players?
I'm not that worried about it. There's no one who I think's at risk of leaving that we're so heavily reliant on. Like, Richarlison could go, but we haven't relied on him this season. He's had a very poor season. He's been brilliant the last 2 games, but he's had a poor season. We'd be fucked if Calvert-Lewin went, but I can't see him going. This is his like proper breakout season. I think he's got a couple more years before we even think about selling him if a big offer comes in. And then Lucas Dean would be the other one, but he's about to sign a new contract, so I'm not worried about him going.
I think Calvert-Lewin's your best signing under Mashiri. 1.5 million from Sheffield, was it? Like, what a signing that is. You know, if he goes on to do some a few more of these goal scoring seasons, he'll be one of your best signings ever.
Yeah,
David's gone there. Just says David.
I know. There he
I'm
is.
back.
Yeah, but
so I have to schedule an update on me.
Oh, well, I mean,
I'm not too worried because I think if we do get into the Europa League, I think the likes of Richarlison and Dean will give us 1 more year at least.
Yeah.
In the hope that
I can't see any of them going from Everton. You know, you can see the plan. Ancelotti's there. There's, you know, there is signs of growth. You're going to get European football next season. You're still in the FA Cup as well, aren't you?
Yeah, we've got City in the quarters, so
you're going to have to beat them at some point, aren't you? If you want to win that, you're going to have to beat them anyway. So you may as well get them out the way now. Like, imagine you just won the FA Cup and got top 6. Like, what a fucking season that is. But I don't think there'll be any risk with that. The only reason I'd like to go into the Europa League, and it'd be like, imagine like fans and all that will back next season, and like we got Everton in like the quarters or the semis of the Europa League, like that'd be, or even the final, like that'd be sick if like the City, if we both got in the Europa League and we progressed through. But I can't see any Everton players going. And with DCL, if you look around Europe, there's not many teams that would play to his strengths anyway. They're all ticky-taka, aren't they? And I think he's at the right club for the way he wants to play. And Big Dunk's had a big impact on his style of play, hasn't he? I know he's coached him a lot in the more aggressive and physical elements of the game. But I don't think Everton will have a risk of losing anyone this year. Maybe Luka Dean, but as you say, if he's got a new contract on the table, then he's sound, isn't he?
He might be all right at Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Calvert-Lewin, like a sort of Simeone type player.
Like a Costa type.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think you'll keep everyone anyway, and I don't know who you'll sign. Like, have you got anyone that you'd go for particularly for yourselves?
Well, I think I mentioned Max Aarons earlier.
Oh yeah, the right back, yeah.
And Romero on a free from United, because we tried to sign him in the summer, and United didn't want to let him go to us because they felt we were a threat this season, which is a shame. He hasn't played a single minute this season. He's third choice, isn't he?
Well, they recalled Dean Henderson, and then they swap him in De Gea, don't they? With De Gea still having the lion's share of the games. So,
but the biggest issue for me this summer is how much we'll be able to spend, because we're up shit creek with financial fair play. Because we've made such huge losses the last few years, I don't think we've got much room to manoeuvre in terms of spending anymore. So
your average net spend 60 mil on a seasonal basis, like, so yeah, you're probably going to have to get some wiggle room out or something there and try and play with what you've got. But I always say the best signing a team can make is keeping everyone if on the back of a good season. So it's just backfired on us this year, but as long as you keep everyone, that's the main thing.
Yeah. Just going back to what you said about getting a 120 million offer for Salah, would you not consider?
I would have last year, but not now, because say we finished third this year, someone comes in for Salah, he goes, we're in the Champions League, and we've got the money. It gives us ammunition to seriously go for Mbappe, go for a Sancho, go for a Haaland. But if that did happen this year, we'll languish in 8th, Salah fucks off. We'll still sign a big replacement. Like I say, money talks, but it won't be the same. It won't have the same effect. And then that player will have loads of pressure on him. And that rarely works where the new deputy comes in and takes over. It's too much pressure. So I wouldn't sell him.
Like,
not now.
Sorry.
I wouldn't sell him now. No, he's too valuable. He's a points machine.
I look at it a bit like Coutinho. If we were to sell Salah, it would be because of financial, obviously. We would then be able to reinvest that money like we did by getting Van Dijk and Alisson when Coutinho went. And there was a lot of talk about, re-signing Coutinho on loan, and I would have done that, to be honest, because I think we're missing that type of player. But I don't want Salah to go. I really don't want him to go. If you were to ask me, like, what player would you want to buy? I'd buy Harvey Barnes from Leicester, and I'd play Salah as a 9. And I'd have Barnes on the left, Mane on the right, and Salah down the middle. And I'd have obviously Jota, challenging the front three or even getting games over Mane and what have you, because I'm a big fan of that Barnes. I think he's done brilliant for Leicester, and he's a proper powerful kid. He's not like fast like Mane fast. He's fast like remember like when Barkley was in his prime for Everton and he'd run and you just couldn't stop him. He was too big and powerful to stop. He's kind of like that, but down the left. I wouldn't sell Salah if I had any choice, but if they said it's the only way you're going to be able to strengthen, I don't know. I don't know what I'd do in that scenario.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? It's having the foresight, because if you sell him, you're actually going to strengthen, or you're stronger with him. You don't really know, do you? But yeah, we've mentioned Barnes on this before, and I like him myself. He is a proper Klopp player, and he's another one that Klopp would try and bring on. But apart from Thiago, he's the only established player we've signed, really, to my knowledge, in the last few years, who's actually at the peak of his powers. But
Fab.
Fabinho at Monaco, actually, yeah, that's a good one. Oh, and actually Van Dijk, so there's loads. And then you've
And
got
Alisson as well.
so forget that. I don't know. I would just, if I could, maybe it's too fantasy football-esque, but like I say, I'd be going for Haaland, and he's that good where you'd have to change the system a bit. I wouldn't really be focused on signing more players to specifically fit our system, because sometimes the systems are dead rubber, and we need another player who offers something differently.
But Klopp had Lewandowski, didn't he, and Aubameyang, and they're both out and out clinical nines.
Yeah.
And he just fell into having Firmino, so I don't really get that. But do you know who would be available this season? And he's a midfielder. You mentioned it, around defensive midfielders. Kante, because he's not fancied at Chelsea. You know, he's not in the starting lineup now a lot of the time. Tuchel doesn't fancy him. I reckon there's stuff going on behind the scenes, but he'd be available. You know, imagine him at Liverpool, or even imagine him at Everton. You know, he makes any team better. Him.
Yeah, perfect signing. Now I think of that, because that might be the type of signing where you spend like 30 mil on him, but he makes the front three tick again because of all the work.
Really, wouldn't he, for Chelsea when they signed him?
Yeah, so maybe that's a good idea. But
I'll just let Jürgen know. I'll give him a bell. Say, yeah, who's a favourite? I'll come sign and Golo.
Attacking players, I like that Pedro Neto for Wolves.
Yeah, he's quality.
You've got a good few players like that, Wolves. There's an article on The Athletic a few years ago saying how Wolves played Football Manager and won. Like they pretty much did, basically, with all the Portuguese players that you've got. But yeah.
He's only 21 as well, Neto, and he said, hasn't he, wants to be the best in the world. But, you know, when you're talking about the Euros, are Portugal, like, maybe joint favourites to win it this season? Like, look at the squad.
I know. I'd probably agree with that, yeah. Like, there's not many better than them. And they've still got Ronaldo, like, doing it at 36, who's the obvious one, and Jota will be fit again. Remember that player they had as well, the Renato Sanchez? I was going to say the one with the dreadlocks, but he was supposed to be the next big thing, then just went off the face of the earth. Like.
Yeah, he went to Swansea on loan, didn't he? Which you thought was a bit mad.
There was that footage of him where he's at Stamford Bridge and he just passes the ball to the billboard.
There's a that.
Yeah.
An interesting situation. Everton in the summer is going to be Moyes Keane. What happens with him?
Oh yeah, he's doing well at PSG, isn't he? But he's got that in him. That's not a surprise, because you signed him from Juve, and there were some question marks. Like, well, he mustn't have the right attitude if they're willing to let him go. And when they let him go, he was one of the young prospects of Europe. But last season he was just hit and miss. Like, he wasn't really shit, was he? It was just he was doing the right things, but he couldn't finish.
Yeah, I'm in between him. Did he not get a consistent run of games enough and not get enough of a chance? Part of me thinks that, but then I see, like, when you come on as a sub for 20 minutes, you've still got to do something to impress.
Yeah. He's very direct.
Get that chance.
He's like Dave on five-a-side. When he scores, you do that celebration, don't you? On the pitch on Everton Road.
Do you reckon Keane now signing has galvanised Calvert-Lewin? Because, you know, they signed a £27 million starlet who's renowned for being the next big thing.
Yeah.
He comes into the team, Calvert-Lewin's performances go through the roof. He gets dropped and then gets loaned out. And I'm not saying he'd done it on purpose, because I don't think Everton are that strategic, if I'm being 100% honest.
Brilliant branch.
do you think that helped, that signing and how it's panned out has helped DCL?
Yeah, it may well have done. But Calvert-Lewin has been boss since Ancelotti came in.
Yeah.
Came in December 2019. And that second half of the season, Calvert-Lewin just took off.
Yeah.
Like you said, he scored 14 goals last season. I think 11 or 12 of them probably came after Ancelotti came in. So I think he went into this season as being the number one, regardless of whether Moyes Keane was there. But it was an interesting loan move, because it left us with only Calvert-Lewin really as the only option up front. Because Richarlison usually plays on the left, so he's not really out and out number 9, and the only other striker we had was Cenk Tosun, who's useless.
Fucking hell.
An Allardyce special.
The interesting thing about Keane is he's playing on the right at the moment for PSG. He played on the right against Barcelona, so maybe he could do that role for us and play with Calvert-Lewin. Who knows? But I think it was a good loan move from Everton as well, to be fair. If they're looking at to recoup the money for him, he sent him to PSG, where he was always going to get loads of chances to score because of the players he's playing with. Also playing against poor opposition every week in the French league. So,
well, he's one of them players. He'll probably flourish in Europe because he clearly does have ability. And if PSG were to buy him, like, he's not really, I wouldn't say he's flopped at Everton. It's just style of play might not have suited him. The culture over here might not have suited them. I think Ferguson done him dirty though in that United game. Like, that was just uncalled for.
Yeah.
Like, there was no need for that.
There could be something similar with Hudson-Odoi yesterday.
Yeah.
I see that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I don't think a lot was made of that, but I don't think he reacted negatively to it. I think he started the next game, Moise Keane, and played really well, actually.
Well, credit to him then. But yeah, like, that's about it, isn't it? There's not much else to really cover there. I don't think at the minute Liverpool will get top 4. And do you think you guys will? Do you think you'll actually breach it seriously this year?
No, if I had to put my neck on the line, I'd say no. I think we'll get Europa League, but I think that's it for this season.
Yeah, interesting then. Well, we'll leave it there, and we'll see you in the next one.